ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदिनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवम्। So we welcoming you all for the next session of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we are going to start on Canto 1, Chapter 13, verse number 31 to 38. So there are beautiful adjectives given to Maharaj Yudhishthira. So we can open verse number 31 now. अजात शत्रु कृतमैतोर्हुताग्निर विप्रान्नत्वा तिलगो भूमि रुक्महे ग्रहं प्रविष्टो गुरुवदनाय न चाप्यशत् पितरौ सौबालिं च. Translation: Maharaj Yudhishthira, whose enemy was never born.
Radhapada Pankaja Prabhu, if you are okay, we can ask the devotees to read the translation.
Yeah, I would preferably like to do that.
Yeah.
Maharaj Yudhishthira, whose enemy was never born, performed his daily morning duties by praying, offering fire sacrifice to the sun god, and offering obeisances, grains, cows, land, and gold to the Brahmanas. He then entered the palace to pay respects to the elderly. However, he could not find his uncle and aunt, the daughter of King Sobala. Maharaj Yudhishthira was the most pious king because he personally practiced daily the pious duties for the householders. The householders are required to rise early in the morning and after bathing. They should offer respects to the deities at home by prayers, by offering fuel in the sacred fire, by giving the Brahmanas in charity land, cows, grains, gold, etc., and at last offering to the elderly members due respects and obeisances. One who is not prepared to practice injunctions prescribed in the Shastras cannot be a good man simply by book knowledge. Modern householders are practiced but to different modes of life, namely to rise late and then to take bed tea without any sort of cleanness and without any purificatory practices, as mentioned above. The household children are taken to practice what the parents practice, and therefore the whole generation glides towards hell. Nothing good can be expected from them unless they associate with sadhus. Like Dhritarashtra, the materialistic person may take lessons from a sadhu like Vidur, and thus he cleansed off the effects of modern life. Maharaj Yudhishthira, however, could not find in the palace his two uncles, namely Dhritarashtra and Vidur, along with Gandhari, the daughter of King Sobala. He was anxious to see them and therefore asked Sanjay, the private secretary of Dhritarashtra. Hare Krishna.
So, Ajata Shatru, see the particular adjective given to to Yudhishthira. There was no enemy of this man. Ajata Shatru means a person who has got no enemy. It's very difficult to find a person like, because it's not that he didn't have enemies. He never took anybody as his enemy. Because he didn't take anybody as an enemy, he had no enemies. So it's the mindset of that man that he was a forgiving person by nature. And Krita Maitir Hutagnir, and every day he was do the Agnihotra. Hutagnir means Agnihotra Yagya. ब्राह्मणों को दक्षिणा देना, ब्राह्मणों को नमस्कार करना, उनको धान देना, गौ माता देना, स्वर्ण देना, जमीन देना, और फिर उसके बाद ये संपूर्ण होने के बाद गुरु वदन न्याय, इट मीन्स गुरु तुल्य, our elders are our first guru, right? So we have to offer obeisances to our elder, go and touch their lotus feet and take their blessings. So now when he tried to see, these uncles were missing and aunt were also missing. Most importantly, इसमें क्या बताया गया है कि in the grahastha ashram, we all have to get up early in Brahma Muhurta and do your regular services to the Lord. In contrast, what is the modern world doing? People get up late by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, then they take a bed tea, they don't even brush their teeth. Even after passing stool, they don't take bath, they just loiter around in the house. So, you know, there is so much of dirt in the mindset of the people because they are not purified. Simply taking bath is not enough. You have to purify yourself in the right time, with the right ways and the right things. And this is where Srila Prabhupada says that, can you go to the purport, Prabhu? So in this purport, it is clearly says modern householders are practiced to take different modes of life. So what is the modes of life? Satogun, Rajogun, Tamogun. So they rise late, take bed tea without any sort of cleanliness and without any purificatory practices as mentioned above. So no purificatory practice. I clearly remember in my younger days, the first thing we had to do was get up early in the morning, wrap up the bed sheet that we were sleeping on, go to the bathroom, clear yourself, take bath, स्नान करके बाहर आना है, and without doing the prayers to the Lord, even a drop of water was not allowed to be drunk by my mother. She would not allow anything. Bed tea तो दूर की बात है, लेट उठना तो बहुत दूर की बात है. We could never sleep beyond 5:30 in the morning those days. So that became a habit, and that is being done in Krishna conscious also very well. Because when it, and what happens, then sometimes you tell, oh, मेरा बच्चा मेरा मानता नहीं है. So remember one thing, बच्चे बोलने से नहीं सुनते हैं, देख करके समझते हैं. They follow their parents as they are. So you get up at 10 and expect your child to get up at 6 and do the studies. वो थोड़ा difficult है. Anything that you want to expect to be good, we have to associate with sadhus. And this is what Prabhupada mentions here, that let's listen. Go by what the sadhus say. Can you go to the next verse? Tatra Sanjayamasinam Paprachavoddvigna Manasaha Gavalagne Kvanastato Vriddhohinascha Netrayaho. Somebody can do the translation?
Maharaj Yudhishthira, full of anxiety, turned to Sanjaya, who was sitting there, and said, "O Sanjaya, where is our uncle, who is old and blind?"
So you see the concern what Maharaj Yudhishthira has. He's old and he's blind. How is he going to take care? देखो पूरा जिंदगी भर धृतराष्ट्र अपने सुपुत्र और शकुनी का सुन के युधिष्ठिर को अपना, he was taking him as his enemy. But look at Yudhishthira. Why he is called Ajata Shatru? Because of this quality. He asked Sanjay, "Oh Sanjay, where is our uncle who is blind and old?" It means he does not have one issue, he has two issues. He's not only old, but he's blind. So he's full of anxiety. He's having udvigna. Udvigna manasa means full of anxiety. Yeah, next verse. Amba cha hata putrartha prithviya ka gata surut abhimay akrita praja parjanne prajane hata bandhu sabhareyaha ashams mana shamalam gangayam dukito patat. Translation? Yeah. Somebody can take
Where is my, translation by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Where is my well-wisher, Uncle Yudur, and Mother Gandhari, who is very affiliated, appreciated due to her son's demise. My uncle Dhritarashtra was also very mortified due to the death of all his sons and grandsons. Undoubtedly, I am very ungrateful. Did he therefore take my offenses very seriously and, along with his wife, drown himself in the Ganges? Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. The Pandavas, especially Maharaja Yudhishthira and Arjuna, anticipated the after effects of the battle of Kurukshetra, and therefore Arjuna declined to execute the fighting. The fight was executed by the will of the Lord, but the effects of family aggrievement, as they had thought of it before, had come to be true. Maharaja Yudhishthira was always conscious of the great plight of his uncle Dhritarashtra and auntie Gandhari, and therefore he took all the possible care of them in their old age and aggrieved conditions. When therefore he could not find his uncle and aunt in the palace, naturally his doubts arose, and he conjectured that they had gone down to the water of the Ganges. He thought himself ungrateful because when the Pandavas were fatherless, Maharaja Dhritarashtra had given them all royal facilities to live, and in return he had killed all Dhritarashtra's sons in the battle of Kurukshetra. As a pious man, Maharaja Yudhishthira took into account all his unavoidable misdeeds, and he never thought of the misdeeds of his uncle and company. Dhritarashtra had suffered the effects of his own misdeeds by the will of the Lord, but Maharaja Yudhishthira was thinking only of his own unavoidable misdeeds. That is the nature of the good man and devotee of the Lord. A devotee never finds fault with others, but tries to find his own and thus rectify them as far as possible. Hare Krishna.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Such a beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada. See, Arjun Vishada Yoga. In Bhagavad Gita, there is a chapter where Arjun didn't want to fight because he could see that the karmas would affect him. The after effect of the battle will be there. That's a whole lot of thought process that Arjuna went through. And he went to the extent of even requesting Bhagwan Sri Krishna that why they should not fight. Na Yuyutsava Govinda. He left his Gandiv. He decided that, okay, what's the point to fight? He was all charged. Ki chalo ladna hai. But Arjun and Yudhishthir, they both had thought, why to get into this kind of unnecessary fights? And what Arjun said, at the most, how much will I rule? Maybe 30, 40 years. It is better that I will take a bowl and go begging alms from door to door. So the Lord, he said, no, you are a Kshatriya. You have a duty to perform. You have to take charge of the country or the world and ensure that it is run in the way how I want. So you don't have to take a call. And when Arjun did give so much of, logic to Krishna, after listening, just Krishna smiled. So Arjun thought, maybe I have convinced the Lord eventually. Because in that conviction, he even told, oh Janardana, why don't you kill them? It's easy for you to do that. But eventually, Krishna gave him two words, Napunsaka and Shudram Hridaya Daurbalyam. Now for a personality like Arjun, who is Gudakesha, who is Dhananjaya, who is Falguni, who is Krishna, who fought Rudra, who fought single-handedly in the battle of Virat against the full Kaurav's family, Sena. To tell him, Shudram Hridaya Daurbalyam and Napunsaka. Kutastva Kashmalamidam. तुम्हारे अंदर एक गंध कहां से आ गया? Shudram Hridaya Daurbalyam. Why are you behaving like a Shudra? And what is your lineage? You are the son of Pratha, you are the son of Kuru. So he made him remember his lineage. Baba, tum kahan se aa rahe ho to dekho. And what are you talking, Baba? And what Krishna told? What do you think that you being so udar, give up the battlefield and go home? So what your enemies will think? Dar ke bhag gaya. They will not give you the credit that you did not want to kill them. So in all the ways, the Lord was firm that Arjuna has to fight. And when these kind of words were spoken by Bhagwan Sri Krishna to Arjun, तो अर्जुन ने क्या बोला? कार्पण्य दोषोपहत स्वभाव प्रच्छामि त्वाम धर्म समूढ़ चेतः यच्छ्रेयस्यान् निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेहं शादि मां त्वाम प्रपन्नम. What is good for me, you speak to me. So eventually, once the war was finished, we all remember that, Dhritarashtra was very, very angry with one of the Pandavas, which was Bhimsen, because Bhimsen ensured that all the 100 children were killed. Now, Gandhari could not bear that pain because it's not good for a mother to lose a child. It is called Shapit. It is a curse. So, Dhritarashtra wanted to take the revenge. So he told Pandavas, please send Bhimsen to me so that I can embrace him. So Dhritarashtra himself was a very strong person in Malla Yuddha and all, and Gada Yuddha. His only disqualification was that he was blind. So there was one particular statue of Bhimsen that was made by Duryodhana, on which he used to practice the Gada, how to attack with the Gada. So what Krishna does, he does not allow Bhimsen to go there. He puts forward the statue of Bhimsen. Now when that happens, Dhritarashtra, he's so much burning in revenge that he fails to understand that what they have given to him is a putla. But that was made out of solid iron. He crushes it with both the hands. And then he cries, he says, "Oh Pandu Putra, oh Pandu, I have killed one of your child, please forgive me." So then Bhimsen says, "Nahi, Tau, you have just crushed my putla, not me. But if you really feel by killing me, you will become happy. I am ready to get myself killed by your hands." So you see, the Pandavas, especially Yudhishthira, was very keen to count his misdeeds. Say, "Mere se kya galti? What we do? Oh no, it is his mistake." We have all the time to say that it is the mistake of somebody else. But here, instead of counting what mistakes they did, which was a bunch of them, Yudhishthira was trying to count the misdeeds that he could have avoided. So this is where Prabhupada mentions that he was a good man. He was a devotee of the Lord, because a devotee never finds fault with others, but tries to find his own fault. Because, under what condition you try to find the fault with others? When you are envious of the person. And if genuinely the person has a fault, no need to abuse him publicly. Sidewise, you come and tell him, "See, Prabhu, this is the case. Why don't we take care of this? Maybe there is a better way of doing things." So it's important for us to understand that how it works. And what was the fear of Dhritarashtra? If they have drowned themselves in Ganges, it will be shameful. Because what people would say, Chakravarti Maharaj Samrat with Yudhishthira is unable to take care of an old uncle and aunt who took care of them when they were young. See, whatever the mindset may be, at least Dhritarashtra agreed to take care of Yudhishthira and Pancha Pandavas, and when Kunti was a widow, and that too in the royal family. So now Yudhishthira was feeling that pain. Next verse. You can go to verse 34. Yeah. Pitra parate pandavo sarvana surada sishun arakshatam vyasantah pitravyukva gatavitaha. Yeah.
When
So
my father
Yeah.
Pandu fell down and we were all small children, these two uncles gave us protection from all kinds of calamities. They were always our good well wishers. Alas, where have they gone from here?
see, he's telling that they gave the protection from the calamities. He's not counting the calamities that were created by them when they gave poison to Bhimsen, put him in the river. So many things happened. But what Yudhishthir chose was like a swan or like a honeybee, he only removed what was right for them. And he said, they're always our well wish because, swalpam apte se dharma se. Little bit good they did, Yudhishthir saw only the good part. Oh, they are wonderful people. They are good people. So this is a lesson for all of us, dear, that, sometimes we might feel that we are not looked upon in the right way. But then you should always see that what are the good parts that have come to you from that person. And then you will be happy. Next. Suta uvacha कृपया स्नेह वैकल्यवाद सूतो विरह कर्षितः आत्मेश्वरम अचक्षानो न प्रत्याह तपादितः पीदितः. Translation.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Suta Goswami said, because of compassion and mental agitation, Sanjaya, not having seen his own master, Dhritarashtra, was aggrieved and could not properly reply to Maharaja Yudhishthira. Purport. Sanjaya was the personal assistant of Maharaja Dhritarashtra for a very long time, and thus he had the opportunity to study the life of Dhritarashtra. And when he saw at last that Dhritarashtra had left home without his knowledge, his sorrows had no bound. He was fully compassionate toward Dhritarashtra because in the game of the battle of Kurukshetra, King Dhritarashtra had lost everything, men and money, and at last the king and queen had to leave home in utter frustration. He studied the situation in his own way because he did not know that the inner vision of Dhritarashtra has been awakened by Vidura, and that therefore he had left home in enthusiastic cheerfulness for a better life after departure from the dark well of home. Unless one is convinced by better life after renunciation of the present life, one cannot stick to the renounced order of life simply by artificial rest or staying out of the home. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
So now, Sanjay, having not seen his own master, was aggrieved because he could not reply to the master, Yudhishthira. And why Sanjay feel aggrieved is because, see, even though he knew that the trust was wrong, but he was his personal servant, he was his personal advisor, like a kind of a thing. He was his Sarathi. So there is a very intimate relation between the Sarathi and the master. We have seen one when Krishna became the Sarathi of Arjuna. And now they are talking about Sanjay, who himself was very close to Dhritarashtra. So normally it was expected that Dhritarashtra would at least talk to him कि Sanjay मैं इधर जा रहा हूँ. But here, under the instruction of Vidura, Dhritarashtra quietly left the mahal because Vidur chastised him. Baba, you are staying with the people who killed your children. तुमको शर्म नहीं आता उनके टुकड़े में पल रहे हो. मतलब तुमको राज ऐश्वर्य भोगने का इतना इच्छा है कि you are ready to stay with the killers of your son. So it was an instigative talk. And what was Sanjay's pain? Sanjay saw that how everything Dhritarashtra lost in the war. And after losing everything, the king had to leave the house in utter frustration. And this was his external vision. Many a times you feel bad about some people. See, this is a classic example of what you view and what you understand to what actually happened. So he's saying, अरे बेचारा वो घर से चला गया, उसके बच्चे सारे मर गए, वो खुद अंधा है, पत्नी ने भी आंखों में पट्टी बांधा है, उम्र इतना ज्यादा हो गया है कि अभी कहाँ गए होंगे. बट what was the real thing within? Vidul had instigated the science of self-realization in the heart of Dhritarashtra. And here you can see that Dhritarashtra has awakened Vidur, and therefore he left the home and enthusiastic and cheerful for a better life after departure from the dark well of home. This dark well of home is also condemned by Prahlad Maharaj when he told his father that this is like an andhakupam. Life is difficult because you enter the Grahastha ashram thinking that this is for sense enjoyment and you never come out of the well. And you are tied up with Apta, Vitta, Suruta, Saharodhara, wife, children, land, property, society, image, power, prestige. So it is very difficult to convince the people in today's world and tell them, Prabhu, you have to give up because you have to prepare for the death. Now coming to that point, when His Holiness Kadam Kanan Swami Maharaj passed away, he chose how to leave the body. He chose to leave it in the hands of Krishna. He chose not to take any medical attention, and he chose to be only on water a few days before he decided to leave the body. So that is the height and epitome of perfect renunciation. And as Prabhupada mentally said, it tells here, one cannot stick to the renounced order of life simply by artificial dress or staying out of home, because one has to be convinced. So tomorrow you may say, or I may say, okay, Kadam Kanan Maharaj did that, let me also do. No, you can't do that. Because one has to be fully convinced that, Krishna will do the Raksha and Krishna will take charge. At the end of the class, I will share a few points with you all, which is pretty interesting actually, about Kadam Kanan Maharaj. A few must have read it also, but nevertheless, we'll discuss it later on. Yeah. Then we'll go to the next verse. Vimrijya Shruni Panibhyam Vishtabhayatmanatmana Ajata Shatrum Pratyuchyate Prabho Padava Anusmaran. Translation. First, he slowly pacified. Yeah, please read.
First, he slowly pacified his mind by intelligence and wiping away his tears and thinking of the feet of his master Dhritarashtra, he began to reply to Maharaja Yudhishthira.
Sanjay Uvacha Naham Veda Vyavasitam Piturva Kulanandana Gandharya Va Mahabaho Mushitosmi Mahatmibihi.
Sanjay said, my dear descendant of the Kuru dynasty, I have no information of the determination of your two uncles and Gandhari. O king, I have been cheated by those great souls. That great souls cheat others may be astonishing to know, but it is a fact that great souls cheat others for a great cause. It is said that Lord Krishna also advised Yudhishthira to tell a lie before Dronacharya when it was also for a great cause. The Lord wanted it, and therefore it was a great cause. Satisfaction of the Lord is the criteria of one and who is bona fide, and the highest perfection of the life is to satisfy the Lord by one's occupational duty. That is the verdict of Gita and Bhagavatam. Dhritarashtra and Vidur, followed by Gandhari, did not disclose their determination to Sanjay, although he was constantly with Dhritarashtra as his personal assistant. Sanjay never thought that Dhritarashtra could perform any act without consulting him. But Dhritarashtra going away from home was so confidential that it could not be disclosed even to Sanjay. Sanatan Goswami also cheated the keeper of the prison house while going away to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and similarly Raghunatha Dasa Goswami also cheated his priest and left home for good to satisfy the Lord. To satisfy the Lord, anything is good, for it is in relation with the absolute truth. We also had the same opportunity to we also had the same opportunity to cheat the family members and leave home to engage in the service of Srimad Bhagavatam. Such cheating was necessary for a great cause, and there is no loss for any party in such transcendental fraud.
So that's very beautifully written by Srila Prabhupada. It says that transcendental fraud is acceptable. There is a beautiful scenario in Mahabharata where it says that because Yudhishthir never spoke a lie, his feet never touched the ground. There was always a gap because of the purity levels. You should close the door. And many so-called great philosophers and commentators say, because of Krishna's force, this man had to tell lie and his feet touched the ground. So Krishna was responsible for destroying his purity. Whereas it is the other way around, when the Vaishnava Acharya said that it did not touch the ground because he told a lie, because he refused in the initial stage, there was a reluctance in Yudhishthir's mind कि मैं झूठ क्यों बोलूं, मैंने आज तक झूठ नहीं बोला. That reluctance made the feet touch the ground, because no matter how great you are not greater than the Lord. And within the Mahabharata there is the same story. It says that there was a Brahmana who never told a lie in his life, and he was determined that I will never tell a lie. He was very determined. So what happened over there? One day the Brahmana was traveling lonely in a path. One Saukar, businessman, Vaishya, a rich fellow, came running, who was chased by some gundas. He told, listen Brahmana, I am under your shelter. I am hiding over here. Please do not tell them about me. Now what happened? The gundas, they came. Did you see a person? Yeah, he's sitting behind. He said, sir, why you did that? He said, I never tell lies in my life. Because of you, I don't want to fall down. So the gundas, they killed this man, took the booty and ran away, thanking this Brahmana. After that, the Brahmana went to hell straight away. The Brahmana said, sir, I never spoke a lie in my life. He said, yeah, your truth was the reason why that pious soul was killed. So there is of no use you telling a truth and getting someone killed, rather than you tell a lie and save a person if he is genuinely a devotee or genuinely a good person. So here it is very clear that Krishna told Yudhishthira to tell a lie before Dronacharya. Why? Because Dronacharya you cannot kill him. And without killing Dronacharya, you cannot win the war. So Krishna said, okay, do this. So they did that. First they brought Shikhandi in front of Bhishma Pitama. So Bhishma Pitama khatam ho gaya. Then they told a lie over here. Because Yudhishthira never tells lies. So Dronacharya agreed that his son was dead. Same way, Dhritas, Vidura and Gandhari did not disclose this to Sanjay. So these kind of things, which is confidential and which is good for spiritual life, can be said sometimes. But they should not become a habit, because we should be having the power of discrimination, that where we can use this. And this is where your Guru Maharaj comes in picture. We have senior Vaishnavas and Guru who will guide us in this scenario. But these kind of transcendental frauds were acceptable and still acceptable. Next verse. Atha Jagama Bhagavan Narada Saha Tumburuhu Pratyuktaya Vivadaya Sunjo Abhyarachayan Munim. Translation.
Hare Krishna. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ji. Jai Srila Prabhupada ji. While Sanjay was thus speaking, Sri Narada, the powerful devotee of the Lord, appeared on the scene carrying his tumburu. Maharaj Yudhishthir and his brothers received him properly by getting up from their seats and offering obeisances. Purport. Devarishi Narada is described herein as Bhagwan due to his being the most confidential devotee of the Lord. The Lord and his very confidential devotees are treated on the same level by those who are actually engaged in the loving service of the Lord. Such confidential devotees of the Lord are very much dear to the Lord because they travel everywhere to preach the glories of the Lord in different capacities and try their utmost to convert the non-devotees of the Lord into devotees in order to bring them to the platform of sanity. Actually, a living being cannot be a non-devotee of the Lord because of his constitutional position, but when one becomes a non-devotee or non-believer, it is to be understood that the person concerned is not in a sound condition of life. The confidential devotees of the Lord treat such illusion living beings, and therefore they are most pleasing in the eyes of the Lord. The Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita that no one is dearer to him than one who actually preaches the glories of the Lord to convert the non-believers and non-devotees. Such personalities as Narada must be offered all due respects, like those offered to the personality of Godhead himself, and Maharaja Yudhishthir, along with his noble brothers, were examples for others in receiving a pure devotee of the Lord like Narada, who had no other business save and except singing the glories of the Lord along with his veena, a musical stringed instrument. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. So see the beauty over here that Devarishi Narad is described here as Bhagwan. Normally we will say Prabhu Bhagwan matlab that is Bhagwan Sri Krishna or Narayana. But no, those who have little bit of additional power also under the instruction of the Lord, and when the Lord gives that empowerment, he can be called as Bhagwan due to the representation of Bhagwan. Now, Narad himself was the avatar of the Lord, Bhakti, and he got the word Narada, means one who does the Aradhana of Narayana is called Narada. Narayana, Aradhana of Narayana iti Narada. And he had been given the tambura also to chant the holy names of the Lord. So he was always chanting the glorious names of the Lord with his tambura. And he had no other business. And in contrast to what the Hindi film shows Narada to be a villain, actually that is not the case. Narada himself was a fantastic devotee of the Lord who would sink completely into the Lord's mood of playing a Leela. And the beauty of Narada is what? Creating devotees out of non-devotees. You see, son of Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad went on to become the topmost devotee of the Lord. You see, Dhruv Maharaj, Narad Muni also gave them the same blessings. So much so that this Narad Muni is the constant companion of the Lord in all the Leelas. One such Leela I will tell you. When the daughter of Banasur fell in love with Aniruddha, the great grandson, the grandson of Krishna, she did not know that where this person was. So when she had a friend by the name of Chitralekha, who was also having Gandharva Shakti, who could fly in the air, change her form, do so many things. So she, when she drew the picture, Chitralekha means one who is expert in making chitra. When she had drawn the picture of Aniruddha and the Yadu Vamshis, so eventually Usha said that yes, he is the man who stole my heart. Now, Narad Muni is standing outskirts of Dwarka waiting for Chitralekha to come. So in the normal course, what they have sent, Chitralekha came to Dwarka, mesmerized Aniruddha, made him to sleep, lifted him, and took away to Usha in Banasur's kingdom. Now the question that arises over here is, if you read the Bhagavatam very carefully, on Dwarka Leela, it says that the Lord personally was keeping a watch on the entire Dwarka. And the entire Dwarka was covered by the unforeseen kavach of Lord Krishna. So do you think that Chitralekha was powerful to go through the kavach of Lord Krishna? And Krishna would not know such a big thing that his grandson was kidnapped? That's absolutely impossible. So Narad Muni kya kiya? Narad Muni was there in the Gomti Nadi taking bath, Narayana, Narayana. Now Gomti Nadi jo hai wo beh ke bahar bhi jati hai. So Chitralekha reached there. She said, how am I going to enter this kavach, Baba? मेरे में वो शक्ति का है कि भगवान के कवच को मैं भेज सकूं. I am just a Mayavi lady who can do some Maya, but this is the genuine kavach. So Narad Muni said, Narayana, Narayana, waiting. Narad for Rishivar, Pranam, ha beti, kiske liye aayi ho idhar? What for you have come? He said, Maharaj, my dear Bhagwan, this is the problem. How will I get into the kavach of Bhagwan Sri Krishna and pick his dearest grandchild and take it back? That too is the grandchild, first child of the family, as the son of Pradyuman and Rati. So Narad Muni said, my dear child, I knew what is happening. I knew what is going to happen. So I am waiting for you. Come with me. I will take you inside the Mahal. So by chanting the name, the kavach opened. So it means Lord Krishna knows what's happening. The devotee is the one who can take you to the Lord. And the devotee is the one who can open the kavach of the Lord and get you in the Sanidhya or closeness. So here, Usha went. So when Usha went, Aniruddha was sitting like that, thinking about, Chitralekha went to see, Aniruddha was sitting and thinking about Usha. So she prayed, oh my dear Supreme Personality of Godhead, Aniruddha, you are one of the Chatur Vyuha of Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyuman and Aniruddha. I offer my respectful obeisances. The time of Leela has come. I want to kindly take you to Usha so that you can perform your pastimes. So kindly bless me and help me. Not that simply she lifted and went away. So then Aniruddha said, my dear Gandharvi, no worries. You can use your mantra to make me sleep and take me out of this place and I'll be okay. So she does some mantra. That too by the permission of the Lord, the mantra worked. She picked her up and off she went out of the same kavach hole from where she came inside. And then Narad Muni looked and he said, okay, great. Now the scene is set for the war where Banasur will be taken charge by Bhagwan Sri Krishna. So you see, Narad has so many activities to do. He's the confidential devotee of the Lord. And in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan says that there is no one dearer to him than who actually preaches the glories of the Lord to convert the non-believers into non-devotees. Most of us, if you go to see who came to Krishna consciousness, we were not the perfect believers of the Lord. For us, Bhagwan is like a go-to order man. भगवान ये दे दो, भगवान वो दे दो, मैंने ये पूजा की, मैंने ये तर्पण किया, मैंने ये उद्यापन करना है, अभी आपने मुझे हमको देना है something. So Narada was one such personality. With all due respect, those offered to the personality of Godhead himself. Maharaj Yudhishthira along with noble brothers were example of others which is a pure devotee. So how do we receive? How do we receive the Lord? We receive the Lord or his devotee with a Shodash Upchar. In the Shodash Upchar, what we start with is, we first tell them, Asanam Samarpayami, please asan par baithiye. Then, after that, we put some flowers on his feet just for the respect. Etan Pushpanjali Samarpayami. And then after that, what we do? Suswagatam, my dear Lord, aapka swagat hai. Aaiye baithiye. So this, I'm telling you how Narad Muni was received by Maharaj Yudhishthira. And after that, Idam Padyam Samarpayami, you do the washing of the feet of your Guru. When the Guru Maharaj comes in your visit, the first thing we do is, we make Guru Maharaj sit on a nice cushion. We offer him asan. We do Suswagatam. Then we put a plate. And then we do the Pada Puja. That is Padyam Samarpayami. Padyam means cleaning of the feet. Once that is done, Padyam Samarpayami, then what you do next? Idam Argyam Samarpayami. You take an auspicious items kept. There are many auspicious items. कुछ नहीं मिला तो क्या करो? एक कलश ले लो. कलश में थोड़ा सा अक्षदा चावल डालो, पीले चावल, ₹1 का कॉइन डालो, एक सुपारी डालो, उसके ऊपर नारियल और 5 पान का पत्ता. अगर नारियल नहीं है तो बनाना चलेगा. Yeah, one of the tools can be kept. Fill it with rice, the plate, keep the kalash on the plate, keep a small dakshana yatha shakti, and give it to the Lord. So Argya also means jal. If you don't have this, you can just take the jal and show Argyam Samarpayami. Then you give him some water to drink. Idam Achamaniyam Samarpayami. Then you give something sweet. हम स्वीट कैसे बनाते हैं? मधुपर्का कैसे बनता है? 3 portions of honey, 1 portion of ghee, 2 portions of yogurt. Whip it nicely and give it to the Lord. So मीठा मुंह मीठा करवाना. Then again मुंह कुली करना. Idam punarachamanyam samarpayami. The second आचमन होता है. And then the Lord is ready. Then idam snanyam samarpayami. प्रभु आप जाके स्नान करके आइए. तो उनका टवल, नया फ्रेश वस्त्र वगैरह दिया. तो स्नान करने के बाद क्या है? इदम वस्त्रम समर्पयामी. So भगवान नया कपड़ा पहनते हैं, गुरु नया कपड़ा पहनते हैं. वस्त्र के बाद इदम आभरणनानि समर्पयामी for the deities. Gold, silver, whatever you have that you have bought for the deities, that is the time to offer it. इदम आभरणनानि समर्पयामी. समझो आभरण नहीं है पूजा के टाइम, तो 2 तुलसी का पत्ता रख दो, because तुलसी का पत्ता is the most auspicious. आभरणनानि के बाद इदम सुगंधित पुष्पम समर्पयामी. एक हार डालो भगवान को, नहीं तो नीचे रखो. इदम सुगंधित पुष्पम समर्पयामी. एषा गंध कुमकुम हरिता समर्पयामी. तो गंधा मीन्स चंदन, कुमकुम हरिता मतलब कुमकुम एंड हल्दी. तो हल्दी, कुमकुम और चंदन भगवान को लगाना है. उसके बाद एषा धूप समर्पयामी. धूप, अगरबत्ती. देन एषा दीप समर्पयामी. 1 single दिया. Then idam naivedyam samarpayami. Then you give naivedya. So this is something called Shodas Upchara. Then last what you do? Namaskar. Idam namaskaram samarpayami. Each one of us should practice this every day in their life with your deities. Just simple. Avayami, please come. Sthapayami, please sit. Prabhu, kripa karke namaskar accept karo. That's it. So there are means and ways. When you say that Yudhishthira and his brother received him properly by getting up from their seat and offering obeisances. So they offer obeisances, and after offering obeisances, they did this thing. So sometimes when Maharaj comes, our respective Guru Maharajas come to Dubai, we get an opportunity to do the Path Puja like that. So it is very, very important that we apply these things in life. Now, since the shlokas are completed, we will go for the question answer in next 5 minutes. I just want to tell you about Kadam Kanan Maharaj, about how we had some good time with him, and also about his departure. So you can stop sharing, Subal Prabhu, no worries. Hare Krishna. So I hope that most of you must be doing Shodas Upchar in your house, and if not, then this can be done this way. Make it a practice because the Lord loves it. Second, last but not the least, His Holiness Kadam Kanan Swami Maharaj, I had an opportunity to meet him in the year 2015 when he had come to initiate Nilu Mataji, who went on to become Nilachal Chandrika Devi Dasi. And that was a very prized moment for me because I was the person who was able to set up the Yajna Kund and the Yajna paraphernalia. And Maharaj was very pleased with how things were done. He said, "You have done it very meticulously. It pleases me to see that such high standards are followed over here." So I told him that this Parmeshwar Prabhu is my guru who has taught me. So then after that, the initiation ceremony started. Maharaj conducted the initiation ceremony in the best possible way that we had not seen for a long time. Then the name was given, and then he went to Delhi from there to Vrindavan. Yesterday, day before yesterday, when Maharaj passed away, I was in touch with Nilachal Chandrika Devidasi, Nilu Mataji, in Vrindavan. And she sent me one details. Just let me see if I can show that to you. Give me a minute. Yeah. Meanwhile, if you all have any questions, you can ask. I will start answering them also.
Hare Krishna, anyone has any question?
No, Prabhu.
No, Prabhuji.
Prabhu,
I think today's was a pretty straightforward thing. Yeah, tell me, Prabhu.
one question related to cleanliness.
Yeah.
So, what is the importance of cleanliness with respect to deity worship? For example, the Lord is satisfied with whatever we offer, and however we offer, he just looks at the mood, the love that he has. So how does it matter to him whether I am doing the deity worship after taking a bath or before taking a bath? So, I understand it is important, but
Yeah.
from a technical perspective, how do we link both of them?
From the perspective of technicalities, one thing that we should understand over here is that yes, the Lord is Bhavagrahi, but first you have to understand that what is his position and what is your position. And there are some basic things that you do in your life to ensure that at least this is the basic minimum I need to do. For example, you may have a boss who's very affable. You may have a boss who's very affable and he's of very open-mindedness. खुले विचार का है. And he would also certain times overlook certain things in life. ठीक है, हमारे कल्चर में ऐसा चलता है, no problem. But you, coming from that background, should have some kind of thought process that let me be neat, let me be clean. Like for example, your boss says, okay, I'm coming home today to see all of you all. I'm coming for a lunch. The big boss, huh? So what you would do at least, अरे बाबा घर साफ सुथरा करो. You would not keep it shabbily. वो आ रहा है ठीक है उसको बिठाओ खिलाओ छोड़ दो. This has to come from within. That yes, the Lord is Bhavagrahi, but I also need to perk up myself, pick up and do certain things in the right way. So end of the day, what happens over here is that the acharyas, that is the reason they say that you start with sadhana bhakti. From the technical perspective, they prepare you. This is like just like, you are prepared to go to the school with certain guidelines. But today, once you are out of the school, you hardly remember what you studied over there. But those days, it was important to discipline you. The idea was not that you will remember most of the things from what they taught you. You could pick a few or you may not pick anything. But to make you a proper student, they said no, school tie, school uniform, time par aana hai, time par jana hai, no talking. How does it matter that you have a long hair and you will not study? नहीं बाल छोटे ही होने चाहिए, लंबे बाल से हम नहीं देंगे. How does it matter that a girl keeps the hair open, ribbon बांधना चाहिए, कंघी करना चाहिए? So these things are implicated by the Shastra. that whom are you approaching? You are approaching the Lord. What should be your way of approach? This should be your way of approach. But there are people who may not believe in that and they may not do it. Like initial stages, it is the must that you should have a discipline. Once you get into the Raga Bhakti, like you say, take the case of Vamsidas Babaji Maharaj. He took bath hardly once in a month. But what was his mindset? If we are into that level, then it makes some sense to do it. Otherwise, what will happen is that we will only propagate it in a wrong way. Second thing, what happens? Take the case of Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. They were on the Raga Bhakti level. But they followed the sadhana bhakti standards every day. Get up early morning, take bath. Why? Yadyad acharati shrestha. That's the reason Prabhupada mentioned in one of the purports over there. He said, because the parents don't get up early in the morning, they have bed tea without any proper cleanliness. The children feel that this is the way of life. And as I told you that in most of our cases, in our generation, most of us who are sitting here were almost at least 40 plus or 45 plus. I'm sure our mothers and fathers, whoever were very strong in this area, would have taken us to task. And that's what we do now. So it does not matter what the Lord thinks. He is Bhavgrahi. But we also have certain duties to perform. So from the duty perspective, we should take it as that this is how it should be. Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
It is about duty. Thank you, Prabhu. Now I'll share something interesting with you all. Though it is not related to the topic, but I thought that it was an important thing about Kadam Kanand Maharaj. So I said that let me share it with you all. We have time, no, Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhu. Generally, the class is up till 11:30.
Now, this is something which I got from one of the disciples of Kadam Kanand Swami Maharaj about his departure time. If you see, the time when Maharaj left his body, he has left straight to Golok Vrindavan. The combination, it says that today is a glorious day of our Guru. I'm not sure if somebody may have got this message also, but even if you have not, or if you have it, I'm just reading it for you. So Guru Maharaj blessed me with the personal details of the birth and told me that when he leaves this world, I should speak about his glorious departure. So today Guru Maharaj left the material world and it is very clear he went to the highest abode of the spiritual world. This is what the chart shows at the point of his death. The ruler of the seventh house, which represents the door, Dwara, to the other world, is the glorious Jupiter in a high dignity, which is placed in the 10th house. I will show you the chart also. It's a technical thing, but just try to understand that astrology as a subject can be so effectively used as a powerful tool to understand the arrival and the departure of the souls, which unfortunately nobody does it. People use it for कितना पैसा मिलेगा, पत्नी कैसे मिलेगी, बच्चे कैसे होंगे. ठीक है, वो भी जानना जरूरी है. But this is what it can indicate. See this. It says that Jupiter is positioned with an exalted Venus in Meena Rashi. And Meena Rashi is the princess praying the Supreme Lord to become her husband because she is one of the Rashis. There is no curse upon the two planets mentioned because Shukra and Guru both are spiritual masters. And both are in the same house. It is in the house of Meen. Okay? And Jupiter represents knowledge and the Supreme Lord himself. Jupiter represents knowledge and he is Brahaspati. And Venus in exaltation represents pure love for Krishna. And Ketu, Shunya, 0, is floating above the material world, which takes you to the spiritual realm. When Ketu comes, you become spiritually qualified. Because Venus is in Parivartan, changing position with Ketu, the result is that two Parampara Yogas. So it means two Acharyas from the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya came to raise Guru Maharaj up to the spiritual abode. Guru Maharaj did not get up with his own hands, but he was raised by the two Acharyas from our Parampara. And Guru Maharaj always saying that Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy will be there upon us to save us at the crucial moment of death. So one side of our death, why I was trying to bring this to the point today, was that we saw that how Dhritarashtra was enlightened, Gandhari was enlightened, and they cheerfully went with Vidur. Now, Vidur acted as a guru for them and convinced them, but because they did not have that intense love for the Lord, eventually Prabhupada mentions that they maximum reach the Brahmajyoti. But to reach Brahmajyoti is also not easy. It's not that you're just going to Sattva or Karama. No. So here what happens? On several occasions, Guru Maharaj showered his mercy upon me. That is when I was analyzing and discussing Maharaj's chart with him. I told him how astrological chart is tremendously similar to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So another great aspect of Maharaj was that his chart was very similar to Lord Chaitanya. So that in itself is a big blessing actually. And he was aware of the fact, but he just said that it should not be shown to anybody. So by the arrangement of the Supreme Will, and yesterday when he left this body, it was Tukaram Jayanti. Now Tukaram is another personality whom we all know, most of us know, that he went in the same material body in top of the Garud to the Vaikuntha planetary system. So as Bhagavad Gita chapter number 8, the verse 23 and 24 says very clearly that for a devotee, one need not worry what is the point when he's leaving the body, because Krishna will arrange that. And this has happened in Maharaj's case. And this is something which I felt that, I wanted to share it in this forum yesterday when I was reading this. So let's all pray together with one family and celebrate the treasure of the glorious moment. Each day after the year, our beloved Guru Maharaj. So he has actually transcended straight away to Golok Vrindavan. And I will show you some more things, just a minute.
Prabhu Hare Krishna, by the time you are finding out that material, I thought I'll just announce it here that I can see a few new devotees in the group. So a message to everybody that I have posted the link to this WhatsApp group in the chat window. So please join the WhatsApp group so that you can get regular updates and you will know which verses we are taking in which week. So you can attend the classes as well. Hare Krishna.
Actually, why I was showing this was a very interesting thing which I felt. Now you see, this is the Lagna chart. No, it's a technical thing, but I'll just show you two things. You see this is the house, Venus, Jupiter.
You need to share that, Prabhu, the screen.
What happened? Just a minute. It went away.
Yeah, you need to reshare it.
Yeah, Prabhuji, we are able to
One?
see.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how many of you would know this astrology or something, but it's a technical thing and it's also a very nice thing. So you see, this is the chart at the point when Maharaj departed the body, he's left his body. So see, this is Venus and this is Jupiter, and this is 12th house means mean Rashi. But when you count from 3 to 12, it becomes 10th house. So 10th house is a house of karma. Jupiter is sitting in the own house, who represents Supreme Lord, and Venus in mean Rashi becomes Ucha. It means Venus, when it is in Ucha, it is love and devotion to Bhagavan Sri Krishna, in Kampur, Sampurna. And both the spiritual masters are together. And Venus, in Venus's house, Libra, Ketu is sitting here. And Ketu is the Moksha Karaka, sitting in the 11th house, looking at Rahu. And Mars is here in the 12th house, which is the house of Moksha. So this combination, when it came, Maharaj left the body. And this is what we say that, it is very interesting to see that many people say astrology kya hai, kaise use karte hain. That is one part of it, that you can abuse or you can misuse a particular knowledge. But the knowledge in itself is not wrong, but it is how you use it and how you perceive it. Now, in my own life, this is the first time I saw that such a wonderful combinations of planets coming in, and it is called Parivartan. It is called Punya Yoga. That is the time called Punya Chakra Yoga. So Punya Chakra Yoga kab hota hai? Jab Venus and Jupiter in 10th house in mean Rashi, at a point when they come together with Ketu in the 7th house, the person leaving the body attains not Vaikuntha, but in Vaikuntha specifically, Golok Vrindavan. So we hope and pray that, that this gives an inspiration that we should have the full faith in Krishna. Completely just let him take charge in whichever way he wants us to be. Just a minute. Whichever way he wants us to be, he will take charge of it. Because, just a minute. In the chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita, Attaining the Supreme, see here in 827, Krishna says, Naite Shriti Partha Jnanam Yogi Mukhyati Kaschana Tasmat Sarveshu Kalajo Yoga Yukta Bhavarjuna. Although the devotee knows these two paths, O Arjuna, they are never bewildered before, they are always fixed in devotion. So here he says, devotee therefore should not be disturbed by the descriptions, because he knows that his passage to the Supreme Abode is guaranteed by devotional service. And here also he says that a person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the result derived from studying Vedas, performing sacrifice, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical fruit. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all this, and in the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode. Now, this Krishna's words, Maharaj enacted in his life and showed us. That is the reason I gave you that astrological chart as a tool to connect about two kinds of devotees over here. One who is a partial devotee like Dhritarashtra, who was convinced by Vidura, who was a pure devotee, that you should do this. So he was convinced, but he was not fully convinced. He didn't know about the glories of Krishna. So he could not attain the ultimate destination. But here you see, simply by performing devotional service, this is what Kadam Kanan Maharaj and all our acharyas are now continuously doing.
Prabhuji,
Yeah.
so what do we understood by over here by devotional service? Prabhuji, here it is saying that once we are in the devotional service, then we need not worry about all other. So here devotional service should be like Serving the God, doing the puja, and only those things?
No. Yeah, the devotional service means using your senses in the service of the Lord, in whichever way you can do it. Because what happens over here is that the word meaning of the word devotion means that whatever you do, yat karoshi, yad ashnashi, yad juhoshi, dadashi, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever charity you give, whatever dan you do, or whatever tapasya you do it for me, because I am the owner of that. Why? Because bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram surudam sarva bhutanam yatva mam shantim rachyati. Krishna says, I am the enjoyer of all the sacrifices. I am the master of all the universes. And sarva loka surudam sarva, and I am the well-wisher of everybody. And those who understand these three things, they are always at peace and they will not be bewildered. So how do we start the devotional service? Yat karoshi yad ashnashi. Whatever you do, whatever it. So many karma yogis, they say, Prabhu, I am a karma yogi. I don't believe in these things. So what Krishna says for karma yogi? Yat karoshi. Whatever you do, whatever karma do it for me. Then the Gyanis, they say, Prabhu, I am a Gyani guy. Unless I am convinced, I will not agree to Krishna. So for Gyanis, what is the verse? Bahunam janma namyante jnana vanmam prapadyate vasudeva sarvaiti samahatma sudurlabha. So for the Gyanis, Krishna says that after many, many janma, he becomes Gyanvan. There is a difference between Gyani and Gyanvan. Gyani is the process. Gyanvan means you have reached it. But once you reach, what you should be the conclusion? E Vasudev tu sarvaiti. But then he says, Sam Atma Sudurlabha, so thode kam milte. Then the third class of the people that you say is yogis. Ne Prabhu, मैं ध्यान योगी करता हूँ, अष्टांगा योगी करता हूँ, विपासना करता हूँ. I do this, I do that, I do Sudarshan Kriya. ठीक है. So what Krishna has word for them? Yoginam api sarvesham madgate nantaratmanaha shraddhavan bhajate yomam samayukta tato mataha. He says, out of all the yogis who are practicing so many things, Yoginam api sarvesham madgate nantaratmanaha. One who sees me within his heart, Shraddhavan bhajate yomam. Not seeing, फिर श्रद्धा से मेरा भजन करता है. समय युक्ता तो महत्व. To me, that person who's connected to me is the best devotee. So for karma yogi, yat karoshi. For jnana yogi, bahunam janmanam ante. For dhyana yogi, yat karoshi. So for devotee के लिए क्या है? तेषां सतत युक्तानां भजतां प्रीति पूर्वकं ददामि बुद्धि योगं तां येन मामुपयान्ति ते. Those who are constantly trying to discuss about my glories and relish the topics. Bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi. I give them the knowledge. See, we cannot do devotional service on our own. You first convince Krishna that I am ready to do it for you, then Krishna will do it for you. Dadami buddhi yogam tam. I give you the buddhi. Yena mam upayanti te. How to come to me. How tesham ivanu kampartam. That's my special mercy. Aham ajnana jamtamaha. I remove all the darkness of ignorance from your heart. Nashya me atma bhavastu. I do the nash of all the ignorance. Jnana dipena bhashvata. By the knowledge of light, I let you know how to come to me. So there is a full process in Bhagavad Gita which talks about it, that how devotion has to be done, how surrenderance have to be done, how it is to be done. Manmana bhava madbhakto. You bring the picture of me in your heart. Madhyaji mam namaskuru. Come in front of me, bow in front of me. Mam evashyasi satyam te pratijani priyosami. So in this way, all these processes is given in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhu. And that is what we are connecting Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, so that the devotees over here get the best possible combination that works for them and it enhances their spirituality, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
That was a good question, Prabhu. Thank you. So this particular verse, it was because I was discussing this verse last week only before Maharaj could pass away. So this was fresh in my mind. So I thought I will just share it with this forum. And thank you for it. Any other questions? Related to any other topic also is okay, Prabhu. if you want to share something or you want to ask something or some other doubts, we would try to satisfy that also.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम। प्रभु जी,
हाँ, माता
स्नान से पहले जपा कर सकते हैं?
हाँ, कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि जब तो हर हालत में हो सकता है, लेकिन स्नान करने पर आपको थोड़ा अच्छा लगेगा। अभी परिस्थिति ऐसा है, जैसे कि समझो अभी आप ट्रेन में ट्रैवल कर रही हो एंड 24 घंटे का अगर आपका रनिंग है और उधर स्नान का सुविधा नहीं है, तो हम क्या कर सकते हैं? एटलीस्ट मुंह हाथ धो लो, ब्रश कर लो, केशवाय नमः, नारायण नमः, माधवाय नमः आचमन करके फिर जप कर सकते हो, क्योंकि ये चैतन्य महाप्रभु का स्पेशल मर्सी है कि एनीवेयर, एनी प्लेस, एनी टाइम यू कैन डू जपा, सो डेफिनेटली इट कैन बी डन।
थैंक यू प्रभु जी। प्रभु जी, मेरा एक दूसरा क्वेश्चन है, वैसे मैंने लेट ज्वाइन किया था, हो सकता है मैंने कुछ मिस कर दिया हो। आपने वो जो लाई के ऊपर हो रहा था कि हमें जो आप बोल रहे थे युधिष्ठिर महाराज का, तो कभी कभी हमारी परिस्थिति उतनी बड़ी तो नहीं होती है, हम तो मटेरियल वर्ल्ड में होता है कि कभी कोई हमें इनवाइट आ जाता है या कुछ होता है और हमें अपने साधना या कुछ और करना होता है, तो हम उसमें झूठ बोल देते हैं। पहले तो मैं बोल देती थी कि कुछ भी, बट बाद में कहीं मैंने सुना कि झूठ तो झूठ ही है, चाहे आपने इस बात के लिए बोला चाहे किसी और बात के लिए बोला, तो वो गलत है, कैसे है?
नहीं, अगर if it's like Prabhupada mentioned, if it's a transcendental fraud, it is acceptable. अभी समझो आपको घर में you have to do your deity worship and you have to do certain things, but you cannot avoid the invite. तो आपको अगर झूठ बोलना पड़े तो बोल दो, but keep it less and the least, because this should not be regular, then people understand that you are lying. It should be genuinely done. अगर आपको रियली उसका जरूरत है, अगर करना है, तो इसके लिए वो परिस्थिति देखकर करना चाहिए, otherwise you can check with somebody actually. Yeah.
थैंक यू प्रभु जी, थैंक यू।
Thank you. Anything from Uday or Mr. Rao? Any doubts?
It is fine, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Sushil?
No, Prabhu, thank you very much.
Sangeeta? Okay, so Sumati ji? Nothing. Lakshmi, anything from your side?
No, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Subal Prabhu, over to you. Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity. It was always a pleasure to be on this forum and share many things.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much. What I personally like is, in addition to Bhagavatam, you take address so many other points also, which are equally useful for our growth. Thank you so much. Hare
Yeah, Prabhu, it always helps, because we are always there to support each other, Prabhu. Thank
Yes,
you.
Prabhu. Thank you. Just a final message to everybody. Please join the WhatsApp group and please join these classes regularly. We have various other preachers coming in regularly who share their knowledge and help us grow spiritually. So see you all next week. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
All I want to add up over here is that, these forums are very, very interactive. And I'm sure that each one of you will gain a lot out of this. So as Subal Prabhu said, that kindly be over here, and I'm sure you will gain a lot. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. We'll end the class with your permission, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.